writing linear equations from a table of values. So whenever we want a linear equation, we want our y equals mx plus b, where m is going to be your slope and b is going to be that y-intercept we just talked about in the other video, okay? Now, we need to find what's our rate of change, so we know m, the number that goes with x. Then we need to know our y-intercept, our starting value, which from our last video, we'll remember, x is always 0, always when we want our y-intercept. Now to find the slope, we are going to want to know what is the change in y over the change in x. And that's going to be true every time we look at slope. It's always change in y over the change in x. And so let's look at the change. What's my change from 10 to 13? Oh yeah, plus 3. From 13 to 16, plus 3. From 16 to 19, plus 3, plus 3. I see my pattern, or my change every time, is adding 3. Your rate of change, or your slope, is always that number that goes with x. So we can go ahead and write y equals 3x already, because that's my pattern. That's the change, that's what's going to go with x. Starting value is your y-intercept, always when x equals 0. So find where x is 0, and boom, we have a positive 13. 13 will be our answer. Y equals 3x plus 13. And you should be able to check this. We should be able to plug in any x value and get that y value as an answer. Let's test out x equals 2. If I take that 2 up there, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 13 is that 19 right next to it, so we know it's good to go. So let's try out this one. So think to yourself, how is this table different than the last example? Hopefully you'll notice with our x values, we're not going up by 1 anymore. It's not negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. We're now going up by a different number. So that's going to make our slope slightly more challenging. So whenever you don't have x going up by just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, we have to make sure with our slope it's the change in y divided by the change in x this time. So if I go over here, we still want to know what's the change. From 40 to 30, we went subtracted 10. From 30 to 10, 20, we subtracted 10. Looks like we're subtracting 10 every single time. Negative 10, negative 10, negative 10, negative 10. Now we have to look over here and decide how is the x changing. Well, from negative 2 to 0, that means I added 2. From 0 to 2 is another added 2. Looks like we're adding 2 every single time on that x side. So now, when I need to make my slope, I take my change in y, negative 10. Now I'm going to divide that by my change in x, the positive 2. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and that will be my slope that goes with x. When it's not going up by ones, you have to divide change of y divided by that change in x. Now we still need the y-intercept. It's always when x is 0. So I'm going to go find where x is 0. It's 30. I don't need to change it. It's positive. It'll be plus 30. Now, how is this problem different than the other two that we just tried out? Well, now my table is going up by craziness. From negative 5 to 0 is plus 5. From here to here is plus 2. From here to here is plus 8. So when you have a crazy table like this, I think it's best to test out 2 different points to get your slope. So we're going to find the change in y and the change in x between these 2 points, but we're also going to find the change in y and the change in x of another set, just to make sure that it's the same. Because with the slope, your rate of change, no matter what, should be the same after you divide them. So from negative 4 to 6, we're adding 10. From negative 5 to 0, we're adding 5. To find the slope, you take your change of y divided by the change in x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now, the only way that we're going to get a correct answer is if our slope down here also becomes that 2. 10 to 26 adds 16. 2 to 10 adds 8. To find the slope, we do the change of y divided by your change in x. 16 divided by 8 is also 2. Since we got the same answer, we know that our slope is y equals 2x. We still need that y-intercept, and it's always when x is 0. Find where x is 0, positive 6. Our answer will be y equals 2x plus 6.